trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track.
Another Queen Ahmadiyyah production.
Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare to dream. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. Haze on the corner, they talking real loud. Spreading no light, trying to bring me down. Enemies lurking, but I won't back away. Got a vision in my mind, I'm here to stay. Put my crew beside me, we rise like a tide. When the storm gets rough, we ain't gonna hide. Rock and get us swilling, but it won't touch me. Only love around, that's how it's gonna be. Keep moving forward, never looking back. The truth's in the power, it's an unstoppable track. In the city lights where dreams collide, we hustle through the night, fire in our stride. Whispers in the dark can't dim my glow. With rhythm in my soul, I'm ready for the show. We break the chains, rewrite the rules. In this concrete jungle where nobody's fools. Unity sings louder than the lies they scheme. In our heart and the struggle, we dare.
All right, hello everyone. Thanks for tuning back in once again to the original Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur show. I'm your host, Queen Ahmadiyyah Shakur, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click that notification bell and click the word all so you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. Okay, so before we get into it, let's see who's in here. All right, G from the land, 504 Nola Cookie. Okay, let's get into it. Desmond, We the People, Red Wine Entertainment, Nessa G. All right, Bronze Flat Power God, 504 Nola. Okay. With that all been said, hey, Cookie, I see you, beloved. Virgil is here. All right, let's get this party started. Chili Willy from Philly. Okay. With that all been said, shout out to all of my loyal royals. I see you, Sheila. All of my loyal royals and everyone tuned into the Queen, and a big shout out to my moderators because y'all know they be putting in work. Okay, so before we get started, let's have a brief word from my sponsor at 12 Tribes.
Do not buy 12 Tribes on Earth hair growth oil and hair magic elixir unless you want super healthy, gorgeous hair that grows. They have a whole line of amazing hair growth products, including hair growth leave-in conditioner spray, hair growth shampoo, hair growth spray, and hair growth butter. I'm starting to sense a theme here. They include quality natural ingredients. They smell amazing, and you can see the results for yourself. So if you're looking for healthy hair growth for your natural or relaxed hair, try 12 Tribes on Earth today.
Okay, so with that all been said, don't forget you can purchase 12 Tribes Hair Oil at Etsy.com. Just look for Lisa Crafts. You can also find it at Walmart.com. And don't forget that she sells beard oil. Now, with that all being said, let's get into it. Because once again, Satan Yahoo has defied Trump, which has now become a common theme. Trump is struggling to try and make it look as though he's really in charge, but everyone knows better. Okay, so let's go to it. First off, this first report. I'm going to share my screen. This is a report by MS Now. Did Satan Yahoo defy Trump? Is not real in Iran trade strikes over is not Israeli attack on Lebanon. Let's get into it.
And is the president continuing to not understand the parties he's dealing with? I'll put it that way.
Not understand and certainly not be able to control. The collapse of the ceasefire yesterday after 2 months in which it more or less had held is really a striking sign that the American diplomatic effort has essentially failed to resolve the terms or bring anything like a real peace agreement. It's fascinating to see that Israel is chafing against President Trump almost as much as Iran is. Israelis were furious when President Trump, in effect, ordered them not to continue operations in Lebanon, which is nominally the trigger for Israel's strikes from Iran. The language that President Trump used with our colleague Ed Luce from the Financial Times, I call the shots. Netanyahu doesn't call the shots. It was an assertion that it's Donald Trump who's in control. The events yesterday showed how far that is from true, that Trump is observing these events, cannot control them. The efforts he's made, increasingly strenuous, to bring an end to this conflict don't seem to be working. And we're back in a tit for tat, missiles fired on Israel, missiles fired on Iran situation this morning. Somehow, I'm sure diplomats will try to put this back together. We'll have a new round of attempted talks. But the distance between Trump and Netanyahu today is one of the most striking factors of the conflict.
And we have seen this now a few times, Caddy, where there has been a flare-up of violence. The ceasefire seems threatened, and President Trump is so desperate to not resume full-fledged hostilities, finds a way to walk it back, to say, we're going to keep pushing forward, even as there really aren't much in the way of negotiations going on. He wants this war to end. He doesn't want it to spark up again. But this was the most egregious violation yet, and also so striking, as David laid out there. Israel strikes Lebanon, Iran hits back. President Trump tells Netanyahu, no, do not respond. And they do anyway. Now, on one hand, if you're Israel, you feel like you have to. You cannot let an attack from Iran to the homeland go unanswered. That would be an extraordinary sign of weakness. They could not let that occur. But at the same time, that's Netanyahu, first of all, attacking Lebanon in the first place, which starts this new cycle of violence, but also defying Trump, despite Trump couldn't have been more clear that he didn't want this. And in fact, he just came on Truth Social again a few minutes ago saying he's ordering both Israel and Iran to stop. Well, right now, neither of those countries are listening to him.
Yeah, I mean, by my count, I think we're in the fourth or fifth iteration of Trump saying, we've almost got a deal, and then something getting in the way of that, getting back to tensions, not necessarily outright hostilities, but clearly not at the point where we've got a deal. And David Ignatius, one of the striking things about this is that in this attack, Iran seems to have changed the kind of chessboard, if you like, because now we are in a position where the American president, because of American gas prices, is shielding Iran effectively from an Israeli retaliation. We did see them strike, but not perhaps in the way that Israel was planning to. I mean, that's a dramatic shift. I'm just thinking we're in one of those if Barack Obama moments had done that moment. Can you imagine what the outcry would have been?
If this keeps up, it's going to get real ugly, and there's going to be a whole lot of problems, because we all know that Trump, being the malignant narcissist that he is, Now he knows this isn't a good look for everyone that's already saying that Netanyahu runs him, controls him. Okay, that's his puppet master, and now openly defies him, and everyone knows it. How do y'all think Trump's gonna like that? It's only gonna be a short while before heads start to roll. Just watch what I tell you. Miss Tree says merchant military. We know BiBi will be the HNIC. He already is, beloved. He already is. Okay, and that's one of the worst things they can do, as far as I'm concerned, is to merge the militaries. That is the worst idea ever. Okay, and speaking of that, I'm going to go to a clip where Thomas Massey is talking about that. D Major says the only thing Trump can order is a Big Mac. Shaking my head. Okay, because nobody's listening to him. Trump is not running anything. You're absolutely right about that. Okay, so Miss Treese and D Major, thank you both for your insight into the topic and your contributions to the channel. I appreciate you both. Peace, love, and blessings. Okay, let's continue. Ha! Trump said he calls the shots. Okay, yeah, right.
I've never seen this level of tension between the United States and Israel about Israel's basic ability, prerogative to defend itself. Trump said Israel should not retaliate, should not operate against Lebanon any further. He seems to have taken deep interest in Lebanon's ability to try to defend itself. So we are in this situation where the ability of the American president to control Iran and the IRGC obviously limited to close to zero, but also the ability to control our closest ally, Israel, also limited. So I think it's a period adding to the frustration we see in Donald Trump's face in every interview, certainly the one we're going to talk about with NBC's Kristen Welker. He's a man who's under enormous pressure right now.
So President Trump, in his interview with Meet the Press, was pressed about his 2024 campaign promise that he would not start new wars. Take a listen.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war. Why would I have built the strongest military in the world? I built our military. I inherited a terrible military. We had no equipment. We had nothing. I built a tremendous military. Biden gave a lot of it away, but it's still a relatively small portion compared to what I built.
But you said it over and over again, Mr.
Why would I build a military? Now, I didn't want to use this, but I'm doing you and everybody else a big favor. In the midst of the greatest stock market in history, in the midst of the most successful country, because as you know, in the last term, we were a dead country, Kristen. I know you're a big liberal or a big progressive.
No, I'm just a journalist.
We were a dead country. A year ago, a couple of years ago, we were a dead country. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world. And at the all-time hottest point, which is probably now, believe it or not, we just had all brand new stock market records today. But at the hottest point in the history of our country, I took Scott, Howard, I took Pete, I took everybody into a room. I said, I have to do this country, this world, the Middle East, Israel, everybody a favor.
Okay, so Kristen Welker is right. The president said it several times, including in his victory speech, as highlighted by a video The Bulwark posted on social media. Take a look.
You insisted no new wars.
First of all, I didn't guarantee no war.
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more disruptions, and we will have prosperity and peace for all. I am the candidate of peace.
All right, John Hellman. So let's get to the politics of this. Voters were with Trump to an extent. Many were, despite his lies about election, threats of retribution, let alone talking about mass deportations and going after the worst of the worst. And now look what's happening. Most people who are being held in detention and deported are not the worst of the worst. Affordability, he calls a joke. And as you heard, he promised no new wars. He promised not to engage in wars around the world. He definitely heard from advisors that it would not be prudent to attack Iran. Many have said exactly what would happen is happening right now. So I'm wondering, Will voters still be with him when gas prices are sky high and we're engaged in this complicated, seemingly potential forever war with Iran?
Well, Mika, I mean, look, well, all we can gauge right now is from what we've seen in polling, right? And what we've seen in the election results from the start of Trump 2.0. What are those things we're seeing? We're seeing a president who quite clearly built his political brand and his political reelection campaign in 2024 around a couple of very ironclad things, one of which was, I'm going to bring prices down, and the other of which was, I'm not going to start any more wars. The idea of Trump as the candidate who was against forever wars, against long-term entanglements of the United States in places around the world, that's 10 years of Donald Trump, not just in 2024, but going all the way back to when he started running for president in 2015. So for the president, to make the claims he was making to Kristen Welker yesterday, as if to say, well, I would, anti-war candidate, me, is ludicrous, and that you could have found the same kinds of language. In fact, in his second inaugural, where he said many of the same things there that he said in his victory speech that the Bulwark found the other night. So that is one thing that no voter across the spectrum believes that Trump was ever for getting into a bunch of more long-running entanglements, as I said a second ago. And then the second thing, of course, is the prices issue, which is connected to the war in Iran. We're now looking at a situation where there is no end in sight to this war. And even if the war were to end tomorrow, which is not going to, there's no one in the world of international economics who thinks that the aftershocks to the core prices that we're facing around inflation, not just with gas prices, but food prices and other things, isn't going to take many, many months to get worked out of the system. So the answer is, to your question, is right now the president's at a historically low place in his approval rating. He has lost ground with independents to a dramatic degree. He's seen some erosion among even the most core of his base. And it's why we are looking at an outlook in November. No one can predict the future, but there's not a credible election model around right now that doesn't show the Republicans losing the House of Representatives and with the Senate very much in play. And it doesn't look, and this is something I keep coming back to, I'm a broken record on this. We're now past Memorial Day. In the world of American elections, most of the factors that determine how elections, both presidential elections, but particularly midterm elections, get locked in this far in advance. It's very hard to change the trajectory of the electoral outcome this close in. It doesn't seem that close to a lot of people, but the Congress is more or less out of business now.
Listen, Trump already knows what's coming down the pike, and this is why Trump keeps on pushing this whole theme about election fraud. Okay, that's what he's currently talking about. And in fact, he got so upset about it during that interview with Meet the Press that he stormed off. We're going to go to that clip. But before we do, let's go to this first clip. Meet the Press moderator Kirsten Welker spoke to President Trump about Iran during an exclusive interview. It comes as the president is touting the economy during a push for the midterms in Wisconsin. Okay, so let's get into it.
The Iranian regime has no choice but to make a deal during an exclusive interview with Meet the Press moderator Kristen Welker.
You have been saying for months, Mr. President, that Iran is begging to make a deal.
True.
They are so desperate to make a deal. Why haven't they made a deal with you yet?
Because it's a very hard thing for them. They've had great independence. They've dealt with very weak and ineffective leadership on behalf of the United States and other countries, frankly, that allowed them to get away with murder. And I think they can't believe they're in the situation where they've been virtually decapitated.
But if they're so desperate, Mr. President, why haven't they said yes to the terms you're proposing?
Strong. They're proud. There are things they never thought they'd be doing that they're going to have to do. They've got no choice. And it takes a little while, you're talking
says they've got no choice. Clearly they do. Because if they didn't have a choice, they would just go along with whatever he says and give him whatever he's asking for. So obviously they know they have options. You see how everything he says makes no sense? He literally talks in circles. He says, oh, they're completely decimated. They're out of options. She says, well, if that's the case, how come they're still, not complying? Oh, they're proud. They're strong. Well, if they're so proud and strong, how are they decimated? You see how he makes no sense whatsoever? But let's continue.
Talking about 47 years of getting away with whatever they wanted. I mean, this should have been done long ago. This should have been done by other presidents or other.
Does he mean 47 years of minding their own business? And then now he wants to go in on other presidents who didn't do anything like he's doing because they had sense, because they weren't minions and pawns of Satan Yahoo, because they could think for themselves. Okay, but let's continue because he thinks he's on a roll.
Country.
When pressed, President Trump adding that Iran has 21 or 22% of its missile capacity left. Today, he arrived in Wisconsin, backing Republicans here ahead of the midterms, touting progress in the Iran conflict and on the economy.
The jobs numbers, I guess you saw them this morning. They just got released and they smashed all expectations by actually 3 times.
Making a push on the economy, touting today's stronger than expected jobs report. The U.S. adding 172,000 jobs. Plus, the national gas price average has dropped more than 30 cents in 2 weeks. But prices are still up since the Iran war began. Jody Loftus's family owns a trucking company.
What impact has rising gas prices had on your life?
A lot. We have faith that it's going to get better, and we have seen it go down.
She supports President Trump. Still, Democrats here think they have an opening.
Farmers are feeling the squeeze in particular with the rise of diesel prices, as well as the rise of fertilizer prices.
As for that interview, Kristen and the Meet the Press team conducted it here in Wisconsin inside a barn at the request of the White House. There were multiple interruptions when rain repeatedly was hitting the metal roof of the barn. Following those challenges, as well as a back and forth about election integrity where the president disagreed with the questions, President Trump ended the interview about 50 minutes after it began. Tom?
That's exactly what he does. Now, that's exactly what he does when someone asks a question that he doesn't want to answer. We're going to go to that in a second, but before we do, let's go, since they were talking about the economy and jobs and all of that, let's go to what he said about Black folks' jobs. Trump thinks Black jobs are in factories. Did y'all see this days ago? And if you have a good job as a Black person, if you're like an educator or if you're like a pilot or something like that, a doctor or whatever, Trump seems to think that you're DEI automatically, clearly.
Unemployment rate has been steady at 4.3%. The Black unemployment rate has been 7.3%. When you ran for president, you courted Black voters and talked about what you described as Black jobs. How do you describe why this disparity is happening? What can you do to close that?
Well, we're doing very well with the Black jobs, African-American jobs. I saw some numbers that we're doing really well. But where we're really going to do well is when all these plants are open. We're building many car plants. We're bringing cars back from Germany. We're bringing, we lost the car industry years ago, 54% of.
Now, these are the jobs that he thinks that Black people are deserving of only. Okay? Black jobs, African-American jobs. What kind of jobs are those? Do you hear how stupid this man is? And then he starts talking about bringing car factories back. Like that's the best that we can do.
Of the industry went to Germany, Japan, Canada, Mexico. It's all coming back. It's amazing. And where your Black worker is really going to do well is when those factories open.
And we'll rise up.
Ha! Did y'all hear it? Complete buffoon. And then if you saw the comments, somebody said, sir, I'm an attorney. Somebody said, sir, I'm a CEO. He's so crazy. Like he literally thinks that's the best that we can do. What an idiot. I absolutely cannot. But let's go to what Godfrey had to say about him. Likes up, everyone. Please get the likes up. Thank you. It's the least you can do, folks.
That the black jobs are doing very well.
Well, we're doing very well with the black jobs, African American jobs.
I thought people just had jobs. I didn't know there was black jobs. You know what I'm saying? I thought people just had jobs. The black jobs are doing very well. The black jobs are doing very well. I think they're doing well. Biden didn't do a good job with the black jobs. Black jobs are fantastic. Fantastic. They're amazing. We have mass incarceration. Black jobs are so perfect. They're doing such cheap labor in prisons. We got NFL. We got basketball. They're doing jumping high, running fast.
And where your black worker is really going to do well is when those factories open.
So black jobs are doing fantastic. Now we just got to get them back on the fields. We got to get the cotton. We got to get the sugar. We got to get it back. The black jobs are doing phenomenal. Our plan is working perfectly, okay? Those are the black jobs I'm talking about. I don't know what jobs you're talking about. You're talking about doctor, lawyer. No. We got that. White guys, white people have that. You guys got to get back to what you're good at.
Okay, to sum it all up, that's exactly what he thinks. I absolutely cannot. Okay, so now let's go to this clip where he got upset with the questioning during the interview and decided to walk out. I mean, so immature. This man is going to be 80 years old in just a few days. And he still acts like a little kid, throwing a tantrum when they don't get their way.
As votes are still being counted here in California, Jory, President Trump is pushing claims of election fraud. He stormed off during a pre-taped interview with NBC's Meet the Press when the president was questioned about those unsubstantiated claims.
It's
The
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California. It's no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to coming up with.
That's how they count.
You know
the
why they're
votes in
doing that? Because
California.
they're cheating on the election.
What? Do you have evidence to support
All I
that?
have to do is look. All I have to do is look.
That's not evidence.
And I listen. And I listen to people. And let's see what happens.
But sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think it's
And
appropriate?
That's how they
that they
count the votes.
Do you think it's appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a
State
winner?
and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the votes to be.
The president also went on to accuse the moderator of Meet the Press, Kristen Welker, of being crooked before walking out mid-interview. Election experts say claims of widespread voter fraud in the presidential elections have never been proven. The U.S. Attorney's Office is now investigating.
This is so ridiculous. Now, you know, here he comes. Here he comes with the BS. He comes, oh, you know what? Darn it, I should have gone to that clip. She was about to ask him about that anti-weaponization fund. I'm going to look for it. But here's the thing. She said, how do you know? He said, all I have to do is look. Did y'all hear that idiot? He said, all he has to do is look. Oh my goodness, I absolutely cannot. Okay, I absolutely cannot. Okay, so I'm gonna go to another clip while I look for that video clip of her asking him about the anti-weaponization fund, because I want to hear what he has to say about that. Yes, just anticipate. He absolutely is a piece of work, beloved.
Tonight after Iran fired multiple waves of ballistic missiles towards Israel, the first time that has happened since the ceasefire went into effect back in April. And now Israel is considering retaliating against Iran. 2 Israeli sources told me that Israel is preparing a, quote, powerful response to Iran. But that was before President Trump said he was going to get on the phone with Prime Minister Netanyahu and tell him not to retaliate. Now, we understand that that phone call has taken place between the Israeli Prime Minister and President Trump, but it's still not clear how that is or isn't changing Israel's calculus. What we do know is that what set this all into motion is Israeli strikes that took place earlier on Sunday in the Lebanese capital of Beirut. Those came after Hezbollah fired rockets towards northern Israel. And earlier this week, Iran had warned that if Israel hit the Lebanese capital, then it would retaliate directly against Israel. And indeed, hours later, that's exactly what took place. Israeli military officials telling me that Iran fired 11 ballistic missiles towards Israel, the overwhelming majority of which were intercepted, but those officials couldn't confirm that all of the missiles had been intercepted. Iran, meanwhile, claimed that it had struck Israel's Ramat David airbase in northern Israel, something that Israeli military officials would neither confirm nor deny. But there's no question that Israel is now preparing to be on a potential war footing. Schools have been closed on Monday across the country, and Israelis are remaining near bomb shelters. Meanwhile, the Israeli military's chief of staff said, quote, "The IDF will strike the enemy with determination as soon as the order is given."
Okay, so you all heard it. Now, like I said, Satan Yahoo doesn't care what Trump says. That man's going to do what he wants to do, and he wants to cause mayhem and destruction. Okay, that's what he wants.
By air raid sirens and urgent warnings to rush to bomb shelters. Israeli military officials say fighter jets launched airstrikes targeting Iran's air defenses in retaliation. The Iranian military released footage overnight said to show the launch of the missiles. State TV showing jubilant pro-government Iranians cheering as the projectiles passed overhead on the way to their targets. In the skies above Israel, the country's vaunted air defenses took most of them down. A chunk of one missile plunged into the desert in the West Bank, the debris watched over by local residents. Iranian retaliation for Israeli airstrikes purportedly targeting a Hezbollah hideout in Beirut, following through on threats to hit Israel should the military strike the Lebanese capital.
We are controlling this area.
We traveled north to the border with Lebanon, which has been under unrelenting rocket and drone attacks from the Iranian-backed group, despite a U.S.-brokered ceasefire. In a town just 3 miles from that border, we visited a civilian command center and spoke with a medic from a local quick reaction force.
We had rockets fall here. We had people that got injured here. We had drones fall here. Everything's still going on there. We joke about it that it's the war of the ceasefire, because it's not actually a ceasefire.
So President Trump posted on his Truth Social this morning telling Israel and Iran to, quote, stop shooting, yet saying that both sides are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. We were awakened by air raid sirens and urgent warnings to rush to bomb shelters. Israeli military officials say fighter jets launched airstrikes targeting Iran's air defenses in retaliation. The Iranian military released footage overnight said to show the launch.
Okay, we're going to go to this last report, and then we're going to Trump's interview. Likes up, everyone. Please like and share. Thank you in advance.
Quite calculated about these sort of things. So their response to the Israeli attacks in southern Beirut and the Dahir district were not overwhelming. They sent some missiles to some air bases in Israel. They didn't go, as far as we know, they didn't go for Tel Aviv or Haifa, but they went for the airbase. Netzarim is the interesting one, I think, in the south, because, Nevatim. The Nevatim airbase is this big airbase, and it's hard to do much damage there, though it's a very important base to the Israelis. It actually doesn't, it's quite hard to put it out of action because it's just so large. But the Iranians have made their point, and it's not an all-out attack because they've got an awful lot of missiles left, according to American intelligence. They've got 70% of their missile force still intact, and more than 70% of their original or reconditioned missile launchers. So they've got plenty of missiles they could use. The fact that they're not would indicate that they were putting the ball back into Israel's court to say, this is what we're going to do. What are you going to do? And it's possible that they are listening to President Trump, who said today, all right, you've done your bit, now stop. So maybe, in this case, his words have had some effect. We'll see now what happens to the Israeli response. But we were saying about an hour ago that the thing to watch will be whether the Iranians now extend their attacks to the rest of the region. Perhaps they're not going to do that, which would be a good thing. The Iranians.
Well, we'll have to wait and see, because that all depends on the U.S. and is not real, what they do. Okay, now let's get back into this interview. Trump said, I'd pay anti-weaponization fund applicants the kind of money they deserve. This is what this fool says. Okay, so that lets you know he's still pondering the idea. Let's not forget Todd Blanche wouldn't say conclusively, wouldn't sign anything verifying that they wouldn't try to start again, bring this whole scam up to pay these thugs.
Fund. It was going to compensate people who say the federal government weaponized the legal system against them. It's been blocked by the courts, met with opposition from Republicans
and Democrats
in Congress and Democrats.
Excuse me, mostly Democrats.
Mostly
some
Democrats and some Republicans.
Some, very few Republicans.
Just to be very clear, are you backing off the fund completely, as your acting Attorney General Todd Blanche has said, or are you looking for another avenue to revive
So
the
let me
fund?
explain what the fund is. People have been hurt so badly by radical left lunatics that worked for the Biden administration and Sleepy Joe. They're vicious, they're violent, what they did to people. And of course, they went after me more than anybody else. They raided Mar-a-Lago and all the other things. But people have been badly hurt. They've committed suicide. They've lost their jobs. They've lost their families. They've lost their wives. They've lost everything. They've lost everything over a fake weaponization of government. Now,
So
let
are
me
you
just tell
looking
you.
for a way to revive it?
Well, look, if it was up to me, I'd pay them the kind of money that they deserve. People have been destroyed. Lives have been destroyed. Many suicides. Think of it. People have committed suicide because a bunch of thugs went after them.
You don't.
So, me personally, I think the weaponization fund is a great idea. And so do many other Republicans. You have to get it approved. If they get it approved, that's great. If they don't get it approved, I'd be disappointed.
All right, we're going to motor through this.
But you have to understand, people have been destroyed by crooked politicians, and they should be reimbursed for that.
Do you think anyone who attacked police officers on January 6th should get taxpayer money?
I wouldn't be inclined to say so, but I have to see it. I can tell you this, 97% of those people, you look at them, the FBI or whoever it was, because you had a lot of crooked cops, you had dirty cops. Comey was a dirty cop.
Well,
A guy
no
like
evidence
Bolton was a dirty
but
cop.
there's no evidence.
Wait a minute,
that
wait a
people
minute.
Who,
Oh, you
even
think Comey was a
170
straight
people
cop?
who pleaded guilty to assaulting police
Comey
officers.
was a dirty cop.
No, but
they
the
had
people who
FBI.
assaulted police
Listen
officers.
to me. They had FBI agents ushering them into the building. They had FBI go into the building. Those people walking around, they're looking, oh, isn't this nice? They weren't in. They were
There's
being
no
ushered
evidence
into
of
the
that,
building.
sir. There's no evidence.
You
of
had a bunch of dirty cops, and frankly, what they did was weaponization of our government.
But sir, there's no evidence of that. More than 1,000
No,
people.
well, yeah, no,
pleaded
there's
guilty
none.
to
You know what you
crimes.
do? Try
Would
looking
you-
at the tapes one time.
Would you take it off
Look
the
at
table?
the tapes
Okay,
one time.
but 172 people did plead guilty to assaulting police officers.
You know why they pled
Should
guilty?
they be exempt?
Because they told they
from
were going to
receiving
jail
funds?
for 15 years if they didn't.
Should
They pled guilty because they were frightened. They went down. They were ushered into a building. Many of them were arrested without even going
You'd be
into the
okay
building.
with them receiving taxpayer dollars?
The people were destroyed by dirty cops and by weaponization. Many of those people should be compensated. Now, with that being said, as I understand it, the weaponization fund was going to set up a group of people, people that could be picked by anybody, fair people, smart people, and they will go on an individual case basis.
Okay.
Now, I don't know what's going to happen with the weaponization fund. I love the idea because people like you, the fake, dirty press, the crooked press, people like stupid Biden, he's not smart enough to know what's going on, but people that surrounded.
Do you all hear how he just told that lady, just went in on her to her face? He said, people like you, the fake, dirty press, the way I would have gone in on him. The way I would have gone in on him, okay? Look at his orange face. Look at his neck. Look at his hair. Look at his mouth. Could have just, oh my goodness, honey. But let's continue because the way I would have laid him out, honey, I know I would have been fired.
Him surrounded his beautiful, resolute desk in the Oval Office. What they did to the lives of people, they destroyed people. They sent people to jail who did nothing
All
wrong.
right, just to be very clear, there's no evidence of what you're saying. But let
There's
me
a
ask
lot
you
of
about
evidence.
Todd Blanche. Let me ask you about
Listen
Todd
to me.
Blanche.
Listen to me.
Let's talk
There's
about Todd
tremendous evidence. There's nothing
It's
but
not been
evidence. The
presented in
election
a
was
court of
rigged.
law.
It was a dirty election.
Mr.
And it's
President,
happening again right now
You've
in
never
California.
presented evidence
It's happening
that the
right
2020
now in
election was
California.
rigged.
Right now, it's look at what's
Where's
happening
the
in
evidence
California.
to that?
It's
The
4
Republicans
days.
are doing well in
California. It's no, they're not. They're dropping fast because it's a rigged election. Let me tell you, it's 4 days, and they aren't even close to coming up with.
That's how they count
You know
the
why they're
votes in
doing that? Because
California.
they're cheating on the election.
Do you have evidence to support
All I have to
that?
do is look. All I have to
But
do is look.
that's not
And I
evidence.
listen. And I listen to people. And let's see what happens.
But sir, that's not evidence.
Do you think
and
it's appropriate
That's how they
that they
count the votes in
Do you think it's
California.
appropriate that they have an election and 5 days later they're nowhere close to picking a
State
winner?
and local officials acknowledge they are slow. They're urging.
No, they're crooked.
They're urging the
crooked.
votes to be counted quickly. That's how they vote
They're
in
crooked,
California.
just like you're crooked. Your press is crooked, and Meet the Press is crooked.
To be fair, I'm not crooked, but let's
Really?
Let's
Well, you
continue.
play right into their hands. Then.
Let's continue.
You're either crooked or you're stupid.
Let's
you play
continue.
right into their hands with this rap. You
Oh,
know
wow.
that these elections are rigged. Your network knows that they're rigged. You know that I won an election in a landslide, and I got 94% bad press.
But Mr. President,
You know why I
you've
got
never
that?
presented
Because you have no
evidence.
credibility.
But you've never presented evidence that it was rigged. Let's keep talking about. I want to talk about Todd
You
Blanche.
have more evidence. There's more evidence than ever presented.
Let's talk
Your
about
elections
You
in
went
this
to
country,
court.
we're like a third world country.
But, sir-
Your elections are crooked, and you're crooked, and
But,
Meet the Press is crooked,
Mr.
and so
President-
is ABC and CBS and CNN.
But, Mr. President-
You're one-sided crooked networks. All right, let's call it quits because I've had enough. Thank you, darling. Have a good time.
Mr. President, let's please. I traveled all the way to Wisconsin.
I've sat in the
traveled
rain with
all.
you.
I know. I
I've sat in the
traveled
rain
all the
with
way
you
to
for an hour,
Wisconsin.
on and off in the rain, and I've given you enough time. You ought to straighten out your press because you know what?
Mr.
A
President,
country can never be
we
great
traveled
with a
all,
dishonest
listen,
press.
we
Come on, let's
traveled
go.
all the way to Wisconsin for this interview. I spoke with President Trump on Saturday, and we both acknowledged the complications during the interview posed by the rain. He agreed to sit down with me for another Meet the Press interview.
We thank you for watching. And remember, stay updated on breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or watch live.
Girl, you must be a glutton for punishment. And she wants to interview him again? Oh my goodness, I absolutely cannot. Danielle said, did anyone see Trump during a live press conference sleeping and farting? Yes. Ooh, he's just so nasty, honey. It's all disgusting. But anywho, let's go to this video because this UFC fighter has supposedly been banned from Trump's shindig because of the things that he's been saying. So let's get into it. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. I find it interesting. They didn't care anything about his racism until he started talking about BiBi and them.
So, UFC champ Sean Strickland has been banned from the UFC 250-year USA White House celebration that Donald Trump is putting on in the White House front lawn. He's been banned from showing up at this event because he's been speaking out against the little hats that are ruining the world. And, you know, the Romans said a long time ago, give them bread and circus and they'll be distracted. And there's no more perfect symbolism than this event. Donald Trump is a circus. They're literally putting on a circus in the front lawn. And all because of a man, this man that I'm talking about, criticized another nation. he's not able to attend that which he is the champion of. And take a listen to what he has to say.
The UFC higher ups called me, big names. And they said, Sean, I gotta apologize, but you're not Israeli enough to go to UFC 250 Israel edition. The White House didn't clear you. And I'm not really surprised, I'm not really surprised. So, I think moving forward, I would like to just apologize to Israel. I'd like to say I'm sorry, I'd like to apologize to Trump. And I just want to prove that I'm Israeli enough for you guys. When Trump goes and bombs the fuck out of Iran that no Americans agree with, it costs Americans $5,000 to $15,000 to go fight Israel's war. I want to apologize. Sorry, I've been a critic of that. My allegiance was apparently in the wrong place, and I just want to apologize. Or when Trump goes out there and says, hey, Trump, your approval ratings are the lowest it's ever been across all demographics. And Trump says, well, you know what? I have a 99% approval rate in Israel. I want to apologize, and I want to repent. Apparently, I'm not American enough to go to Freedom 250.
Everyone should absolutely not watch the UFC 250. We need to send a clear message to Dana White. He should say, well, we're not going to do it on the White House lawn if we can't have freedom of speech. Protest the UFC fight. Don't watch it. I know I won't be supporting it.
Sir, we weren't planning on watching that bullshit anyway. Okay, do y'all hear this? Now, this man is so racist. He's made a myriad of racist remarks and uses racially charged language all the time against various groups of people. But at the end of the day, it's only a problem when he said something about BiBi and them. Okay, please pay attention. For all the Black people who support Trump, the Black MAGA, they are just so ridiculous, in my opinion. Okay? So ridiculous, in my opinion. Now, let's talk about this. Well, hold on. Before I go to this report, that's a lifeline, by the way. Let's go to a couple of reports that I shared on X. Likes up, everyone, please like and share. Thank you in advance. Of course, I'll be back later on today at about 4:30 so that we can have our Carmelo Anthony updates and also Rick Chow. Okay, with this whole thing that's going on with the Asian boycott. Now look at this. Hold on. This is a clip where a man calls into Fox News and tells Janine Pirro that Trump isn't making America great again. He's making America hate again. Let's get into it. Look at the look on her face.
America great again. Trump has made America hate again. And it's this hatred of races. I hear it all the time when I talk to Republicans and they say, oh, I went down to Texas and there are all these Mexicans down there and they're all speaking Spanish. Well, I got news for you. Those weren't Mexicans. Those were the Americans. That guy that went down to El Paso to shoot a bunch of Mexicans, he shot a bunch of Americans. And I'm really tired of this anti-immigrant, anti-people with brown skin rhetoric that's coming out of Fox News, coming out of people like you and coming out of our president. It's demeaning. It's beneath the office. It's beneath you. You used to be a judge. You know better. It's time that stopped. America great again. Trump has made America hate again. And it's this hatred of races. I hear it all the time.
Now she's trying to sit there like she's so unbothered, clearly pressed. Now listen to this. November 2000, she had been cut in half, decapitated, and her hands were removed. It's absolutely egregious. Eugene McCollum, who killed her in his YMCA room, was already serving life. He told investigators she was being sex trafficked at the time. DNA and genealogy finally gave her family her name back. Her last phone call to her family was cut short, and she sounded terrified. A teenage girl was brutally murdered and dismembered, then left unidentified for a quarter century. How many more cold cases like this are still waiting to be solved? This is absolutely egregious. Let's get into it.
Off the top tonight with a major breakthrough in a cold case from 2000. Police have now identified a teenager 26 years after she was murdered. Her body was found in a parking lot on Crest Ave in Chelsea. Thank you for joining us. I'm David Wade.
And I'm Lisa Hughes. Investigators determined she was killed the day before, but they didn't learn much more until now. WBZ's Christina Rex is live in Boston with this new information. Christina?
Lisa and David, her name was Tiffany Bradley, and her family says she was in the ROTC program. They say she was a talented dancer, an athlete, and an artist. For years, they actually thought she might have left the country, and they called today's news both bittersweet and a miracle.
I really thank you all. Thank you so much for letting us take her safely home.
In Massachusetts, she's been known for 26 years as Chelsea Jane Doe. And now,
today we can finally say her name, Tiffany Bradley.
The victim of a brutal crime. The scene captured here on WBZ cameras in the year 2000, when police discovered a young woman's body dismembered outside of the Chelsea Soldiers' Home. They later found a bag buried in Nahant containing her head and her hands, but it would be decades before they brought her family closure.
I want to thank all of you from the bottom of my heart, not letting my baby be a chef, a box on a shelf. I thank you all for your tireless effort.
An emotional day for Bradley's family. They reported the 17-year-old missing from Allentown, Pennsylvania on November 8, 2000. Within 5 days, investigators say she had been trafficked to Massachusetts, exploited, and killed. 36-year-old Eugene McCollum is currently serving a life sentence for her murder. But the missing link from Pennsylvania to Boston meant Chelsea Jane Doe was never identified until now.
It is totally amazing that after 26 years, people care enough to give her a name and return her to her family.
This composite sketch was all police had until new genetic genealogy testing led them to her biological brother in Texas, finally connecting the dots and local police with Tiffany Bradley's family, who had been searching for her.
Her last conversation with her favorite cousin was cut short with her voice trembling, saying, "I'll call you later. I have to go." That call never came and was replaced with 26 years of waiting, wondering why.
Now, is this justice? Coming up at 6 o'clock, we'll tell you what's next for the man who murdered Tiffany Bradley. Plus, will the person who actually trafficked her to Massachusetts ever be found? Those answers at 6. Live in Boston, Christina Rex, WBZ News.
All right, Christina.
Okay, this is absolutely what's happening when we have all of these black teenagers, these black children coming up missing. I've been telling you all this for years. This is absolutely what's going on. Okay. Oh, I'm sorry. I forgot to show you all the nefarious people, these MAGA minions still out here being PDF files. Okay, does Trump think we forgot about the Epstein debacle? Now look at this. Kentucky pastor sentenced to 13 years for repeatedly R-wording and itemizing with an S a minor church member. Okay? This is absolutely disgusting. Zachary King, the former executive pastor of Lex City Church, pleaded guilty to first-degree rape, otomy with an S, and multiple other S crimes against a minor. This is all so sick. Now, it goes on to say he R-worded the victim on multiple occasions and arranged additional meetings. King was the executive pastor at Lex City Church. He must register as a lifetime S offender and cannot contact the victim. A pastor in a position of trust used his role to repeatedly rape a child. How many more church leaders will continue to get light sentences when they prey on minors? Exactly. These people need life sentences. As far as I'm concerned, this is all disgusting.
Former Lexington pastor has been sentenced to 13 years in prison after pleading guilty to multiple charges involving the sexual.
Okay, he's just saying the same thing I already read. Now, with that all being said, let's go to what Thomas Massey had to say about these IDF soldiers, their military merging with U.S. soldiers.
That letter that you showed comes on the heels of a section 224 of the NDAA, National Defense Authorization Act, that was just made public by the chairman and the ranking member of the Armed Services Committee. They intend to mark up that bill next week, I believe, and then we could see the NDAA on the floor very soon, maybe next month, if not sooner, for a full House vote. There's a troubling provision in there, Section 224, which I intend to offer an amendment to strip, but that provision would enmesh, synchronize, integrate, whatever word you want to use. I think they use the word synchronize in the legislation, but we all know what it means. And we were called conspiracy theorists last week for saying this means we're going to merge the two militaries, the IDF and the U.S. military, because they said, oh, this is just, we're merely combining our technology and our supply chains and all this other stuff. It has nothing to do with chain of command, which that may be true, but it's still an encumbrance and an entanglement that I think, honestly, is treasonous. There is no reason that this is not a symmetric relationship. Even NATO is asymmetric, but this is way more asymmetric, where we're going to be the ones giving, compromising our own national security, basically obligating ourselves to the defense of Israel at any cost, regardless of what Netanyahu engages in once through Section 224 of the NDAA, and then this letter, which is showing you the road, the path that they intend to go down. It makes us all not conspiracy theorists now. It only takes the difference between a conspiracy theory and the truth has been about 6 months here in Washington, D.C. It's now reduced to 6 days in this Israeli plan.
Okay, so absolutely egregious. I told you all this is the worst idea ever. I couldn't believe that they came up with this. But of course, they didn't come up with it. Actually, as I think about it, it was BiBi's idea. Remember, he sent a letter to someone in Congress. Okay, so now let's get into your lifeline. Flesh-eating New World screwworm detected in Texas cows. Okay, USDA says this is signaling a major threat to food production. Okay, do y'all hear this? Do you all hear this? A major threat to food production. Okay, if it isn't one thing, it's another. And I absolutely believe that this is all by design. Okay, please pay attention. Let's talk about it. So a case of flesh-eating New World screwworm has been detected in South Texas. Okay, the U.S. Department of Agriculture gave this information on Wednesday. It is the first time this parasitic fly, whose larva fed exclusively on the tissue of warm-blooded animals, has been detected in U.S. livestock in decades. Now, as we're talking about this, I want you all to remember that Bill Gates has recently said that people need to stop consuming red meats. And he's also pushing his lab-grown meats. Okay, please pay attention. He shouldn't have to tell you twice is all I'm saying. Okay, now with that all being said, let's continue. So they say, although it is not a food safety issue, an infestation can be a food production issue. It could cost the economy billions and raise the price of beef at a time when Americans are already paying record high prices. I mean, they're really laying it on thick, you guys. I want you all to pay attention. They're giving us one issue after another. Now, the USDA says its National Veterinary Services laboratories in Ames, Iowa, tested a sample from the case in a 3-week-old calf in La Pryor, Texas, and confirmed Wednesday that it was New World screwworm. Now, the agency has activated personnel on the ground in Texas to contain and eradicate the parasite, including a 20-kilometer infested zone and implementation of quarantines, movement controls, and surveillance in the area. It's also expediting targeted release of sterile flies, which are used to overwhelm fertile flies in the area to limit the spread. They say if we all work together and follow the animal treatment protocols and movement restriction guidance, there's no reason to believe that this incursion will result in an establishment of the pest in our country. Okay, USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins said this during a briefing on Wednesday night. Now, they go on to say the New World screwworm has been declared eradicated in the U.S. decades ago, thanks to efforts such as the breeding of sterile flies, awareness campaigns, and efforts to control the pest in foreign countries. But there have been a surge of cases in South America that public health experts and the USDA have been watching closely. Screwworm is not a contagious disease that spreads from animal to animal. Rather, female adult flies lay eggs in fresh wounds of warm-blooded animals. The larvae feed on the host and can damage vital organs or cause serious bacterial infections. Cases can be severe and can even cause the host animal to die. Now, the parasite is also a threat to wildlife and pets. Vets in Texas, Arizona, and New Mexico have been told to be on the lookout for new infections. On Wednesday, Rollins urged pet owners to keep a close watch for signs of discomfort, open wounds, or larvae or eggs near body openings. Human cases are rare but can be fatal. The last person in the U.S. to get sick with a screwworm infection was a travel-related case in Maryland in August. They made a full recovery. Rollins said Tuesday that the current threat to human health in the U.S. is extremely low, and the screwworm does not pose a food safety risk. But there is no doubt that this is a very, very serious threat to our livestock. People who are at higher risk of catching screwworm are those who work with livestock or other warm-blooded animals in areas where the flies are present, and those who spend a lot of time outdoors, especially if they sleep outside. So the homeless people will be affected. Okay, please pay attention. People who have medical conditions that cause bleeding or open sores can also be vulnerable to infection. Any open wound, even a small break in the skin, like a scratch or an insect bite, can attract these flies, according to the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Well, that's interesting because they're currently putting out all of these mosquitoes. So they're talking about insect bites where they're releasing mosquitoes. Did you all know that? In August, the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services began to allow emergency use of rugs to treat or prevent infestations in animals. A shipment of that treatment is on its way to South Texas, Rollins said on Wednesday. So anyway, it's a whole lot more. I'm not going to get into all of this. It's a whole lot to read. But with that all being said, let's go to this video that someone, okay? And he's saying that Trump is blaming Biden. The guy in this video says that Trump is blaming Biden for the screwworms. I mean, how is anything Biden's fault at this point? Make it all make sense.
About the New World screwworm infestation that nobody else on social media has. And at the end of this video, you're going to be shocked and you're going to ask yourself, why aren't more people talking about this? So first, I'm going to tell you the things that you might already know. This X account was created by the Trump administration, and they're already trying to shift the blame onto Biden, saying that because of Biden's open border policies, all of these migrants that traveled through Panama overwhelmed the sterile fly defenses, and it caused the screwworm to travel up into Mexico and now into the United States, right? Last year, I went to a refugee camp in Mexico, and I had the opportunity to interview a lot of migrants. And I asked them, why did they come to America? And they said because they thought the borders were wide open. And then I asked them, why did you think the border was wide open? And they said every time they opened social media, they seen this.
President Biden's reckless open border policies.
Disastrous open border policies.
Open borders.
It's open borders.
Open borders.
Open border policy.
Open borders agenda. Open borders.
And that messaging was pushed down to South America, to Venezuela, to Nicaragua, Ecuador, all of these places that had civil unrest. And every single family, when they opened social media, They seen a motherfucking Republican telling them that the borders were wide open. Biden has an open border policy, and they thought in their brain, now is my chance to get out of here. So they grabbed their screwworm infested cow and all their belongings, and they traveled the far journey north to America. And when they got here, they realized that the borders were closed. That's why there were 1 million fucking refugees that were in refugee camps in Mexico, because they could not get into America because the fucking borders were not open. So here's what I need you to do. Every time a dumbass Republican says that the screwworm infestation was caused by Biden's open border policy, I need you in the comment section to fucking ask, if Biden's borders were open, why the fuck were there 1 million people stranded at the fucking border? Use your fucking brain. I have information about the New World screwworm infestation that nobody.
Okay. Is he mad or what? Okay, but so the bottom line is Trump's always trying to shift the blame to either Biden or Obama. But the bottom line is this mess, this disaster is absolutely no one's fault but his. Okay? No one's fault but his at the end of the day. So, anyway, with that all being said, hold on. Okay, yeah. So anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning in once again. Please like and share. Double check to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel, especially if you have not been receiving your notifications. And I will be back at about 4:30 with your Carmelo Anthony updates, okay, and more information on the Asian boycotts. All right, so with that all being said, each one teach one. That's how we grow and thrive. Do something productive, constructive, but never destructive. And always remember, beloveds, to keep the Most High first in your lives. Until next time, peace.
Gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you're done. They show no love for the queen. Why you hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans? I got dreams like King Luther, shed blood like Kunta. You ain't helping my people, I ain't got nothing to say to ya. I want all the smoke like hookah. Talking reparations, America won't be great until they give us compensation. I'm like, I'm the hottest right now. See a bunch of lames out here trying to jock on my style. They be doing too much. I'm the queen, it's too easy. It's like they all at Popeyes, how they be talking so greasy. I just sit back and laugh while these haters get madder. So nefarious how they don't want my pockets with cheddar. I tell them they can do better. These snakes in the grass can leave a bite on your ass, cause y'all be trusting too fast. I got my foot on the gas, other one on they necks. Dropping receipts on haters, you better show some respect. I'm never facing regrets, we only facing the threats. Running through every challenge like a relay, break no sweat. It's a cold game, so I got that blanket with me. Now that my people awaken, ain't no going to sleep. I do not play by my piece. This time I'm playing for keeps. You talking slick, but when I see you like them ends, we gon' meet. And I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me? Is it cause I'm free and I got Malcolm X in my jeans and I got gold all in my skin, God all in my blood, kings all in my circle. You touch one of mine and you done. They show no love for the queen. Why they hating on me?